Welcome.
Morning,
Tov.
morning.
Good morning.
Yeah. So Shabbat Zoom. I'm excited for Rabbi Joe to give us some great learning this morning, and especially we're kicking off a series of talking about the meaning of the Hebrew months, which I find really fascinating. It's something I know
Yeah.
very little about. So that'll be part of our learning this morning. And so feel free to ask questions, and Rabbi Joe will ignore them all. Just kidding. Go ahead. Take it away.
Thank you. Thank you, AC. It's nice seeing everybody. Uh, Delighted to be here with you. And just so you know, last night and yesterday all day, it's been about 10, 12 degrees out here. We had no heating. So we were staying warm by shivering. Hope, movement creates heat. So we were trying to stay warm. Sarah's warm out there in Fiji, but we were freezing. Uh, They came last night. We have heat, and we're getting a new machine, but we have heat. We have heat. So just wanted y'all to know that's what we went through, and glad we're all here today. Glad you could all join us. So what we're going to do today is our first course on or reflection on this, what I hope is a wonderful study on the Jewish calendar. I know many here are Jewish and many aren't. Many have a religious outlook on life, a sacred reference, and others have a just beautiful humanism, a beautiful awareness of our humanity, and that's their focus. What I hope to do in our study over the year, it's a monthly study that we will have once a month. We'll still have other studies, and we're still going to have other wonderful rabbis coming on to teach us. But what I hope to do in our new study here, again for the year, once a month, is to explore the Jewish calendar. Even if you're not Jewish, my prayer is that this offers us insight, all of us, insight into life. But Jewish Jewish thought on time is different. The calendar is not simply a list of dates, and we have Hebrew names instead of English names. In the Jewish world of time, time is sacred. All time is sacred. It's holy. And there is always an opportunity. There are different types of holinesses, different types of holy times, but all time is holy. And my hope is that during our time together here in our studies, it gives us a reference and a vision that allows us to see the beauty of time, the holiness of time, so that we can live here on this plane, this time-bound plane, in a better way, in a more loving way, in a more beautiful way, and in a more honoring way with each other. That's always our goal in Judaism. Whatever the ritual is, whatever the study is, it's to lead us into a better way of living and a better way of loving, and a more difficult challenge often is a deeper way of forgiving and of having mercy. That's what all of our sacred practices are guiding us towards, and this is a Jewish way, not the only Jewish way, but a Jewish way that I'm going to walk us through. And time passes us all, okay? It's always passing by. And the question is there anything that is enduring, anything that's eternal? And how can we be touched by that? I speak of time as the eternal now, because really the past is always beyond us, it's behind us, and the future is always before us. They are real, and they are all potentially part of our lives, the past or the future. But what we really have now is only our presence of time, the present moment. And my hope is that in our studies we can be touched by a presence of time that also has something timeless about it. Because we need something more than simply the immediate. We need something more enduring in life. And that's what our religious wisdom and our religious practice offers us. Something timeless to touch us, to deepen us, to broaden us, to enrich us, to enhance us. So we're going to go through the calendar in our first class, at least, in our first study. It's not a class. I'll emphasize a few aspects now that it's going to take away from some of our time, the specific month focus because of time. Next month, we'll have more time on the month itself. But I want to give some background on time before we begin, because time is understood differently in different cultures. For example, in the West, we often think of time as linear. Time begins and time has an ending. But in Eastern thought, time is cyclical. It's spiral. So we may repeat. We do. We have time in India. We have time in America. Yikes, oh boy, sorry about the light. I just saw the light on me. It's coming through the blinds. Is that okay, AC? I've got some
Yeah, it
light
looks
on me, or
yeah, it looks very
maybe I can
holy.
move a little. You know what? I'll just move a little.
Yeah, just
There we
lean
go.
lean into it.
There we go. Yes, here's you see my aura, folks. There we go. All right,
Yes,
it's on my nose. There we
beautiful.
go. Beautiful. Um, so we'll focus a little more on what time is in Judaism. We will do it each week. We will discuss time because there are many terms for time in Judaism. And again, sometimes it's linear, sometimes it's cyclical or spiral. And the beauty of referencing or viewing time, not as simply linear, I'm not saying one or the other, I'm saying both. The beauty of viewing time as linear, beginning and end, is there is an end, something which we are striving towards, looking at, seeking, hoping for, okay, building our lives towards. There is an end, and that's beautiful. But the other idea, this idea of cyclical or spherical, spiral time, is that we come back to the same place, but we're not the same because we're in a deeper place at that time. Same time, every year, we have our sacred holidays in all of our faith traditions. So we just finished with, let's say we were going with Rosh Hashanah or with Sukkot, Hanukkah. I did that last year. That's linear. I'm in the same time from here to here. But the idea in Jewish time also, as it is in the East, is when we come back to a place in time, if we truly encountered that moment, next year when we come back to that place in time, we will be in a different place, a deeper place, a more authentic place that helps us uncover and discover more of who we are. So I want us to have that vision. There is an end, at least an immediate end, but there's also an enduring, ever deepening process that we discover time in almost a timeless manner, because it's never the same if you're not the same. It's always renewing, and it's always something unique and distinct. And as I said, we have many words in Judaism for time. Throughout the year, I will be going through them, and you're going to hear sometimes on the same word, I'll tell you it means this, but next time, following month, I'll say it means this, and sometimes it means this, and they all often go in very different directions. Hebrew is very simple on one level, but it's also very, very poetic and nuanced on another. But the subtlety is not available to if you have the basics of Hebrew. You can know the vocabulary, but not know the intricacies. So we're going to walk through it. I promise not to lose you. I hope I don't. If I do, please say, hey, take a step back and clarify. But I want us to explore time or the words for time, because it gives us a vision into the nature of existence. Why do we have so many words? And I mean so many words for time. Because time is not linear. Time is not this or that. There are worlds of time, and there are worlds within time that lead us into different places of being. They are existential encounters with something often very immediate, but also sometimes what seemingly is transcendent. So we're going to walk through a lot of these words for time over the next year. And I'll just start off with four of them right now. Again, not deep analysis, but just to give you a sense. And we'll even look at a few verses. So if you have a Bible there, if you don't, I'll read it. But one of the words for time, does anybody know any Hebrew words for time here? If so, call them out. Christo, I'm going to call you out. My brother, how are you?
Chilling with the snow. The wind was not moving most of the day, so it felt wonderful outside. Then the wind moved, had to come back in.
I feel
So
you.
the one Hebrew word I'm thinking for time is ziman, and because I just got done with one of my Reform Siddurim earlier this morning, ziman.
Yep. Beautiful. Zman. Anybody else? You get no points for the right answers, as I think that's what Drew Carey used to say on Whose Line Is It Anyway? We won't ask anybody to do any improvisational comedy, though. Any other words that we know of for time? Okay. So
Sha'a.
Zman. Sha'a, beautiful. Who said Sha'a?
It's me, Faz from Aberdeen.
Foz. Oh, wow. You are at a different time right now from
It is.
Aberdeen, Scotland. Uh,
Yes.
Top of the morning to you. Actually, it's not that. That's your afternoon. But nice to see you. Nice to see you, Foz and Carla.
Thank
So
you.
yes, sha'a. Sha'a is another word for time, and it means time. There's another word, eight or ace, if you speak Yiddish Hebrew. That's a word for time. And what's another word? Moed, right? Moed is another Hebrew word for time. Again, I'm going to limit it there. And here's an example of, in fact, the first two, what Christo and Faz said, Zman and no, you said Sha'a. Sorry, you said Sha'a, Faz. Zman and eight. Let's look at Ecclesiastes chapter 3, verse 1. Does anybody have a Bible there? How about you, AC? Do you have a Bible? I'm going to want your help on this one. Chapter 3 of Ecclesiastes, Koheles, verse 1. Someone want to read? Or I'll read. I'll just take the time. Save us time and read, and you guys will read the next one. So it says, well, actually, I like the King James. Anybody have a King James version? Well, we're not going to analyze the verse. It's a rich verse, but we're not going to analyze it. But
I think Adrian raised her hand. She did.
Adrian, yes, Adrian. No raising hands, just speak.
Well, I'm actually thumbing through my Bible trying to find Ecclesiastes because I'm not that good. But I found it. Okay, what do you want?
3-1.
3-1?
Yeah.
I think I can handle that. To everything there is a season and a time to every purpose under heaven.
Yeah. It's actually a quite beautiful, beautiful translation. The idea of purpose for chafetz, if you looked in a dictionary, it wouldn't give you that translation. But when we discuss this verse in a future session, because we're going to also go through this whole verses 1-8, because it deals with time. We're going to use this as one of our sacred texts to explore time through, because it gives life through a series of 14 different or 28, but 14 different this and this, this and this, this and this, this and this. So it's all different times, but it uses, the first word is zman, like Christo said. L'chol zman. For everything there is a time or a season. And then it says an eight, that's that other word. And a time for everything or every purpose under heaven. Now, does this call to mind anything else? Just this verse 1. To everything there is a season, a time as the King James. It's the King James Version. A time for every purpose under heaven. Does that bring to mind anything?
The song.
Thank you. I knew yes. And that's why I'm so grateful you are here. For those of you who don't know, my brother AC, I call him Brack because he's brother AC. And I'm Yak. Well, whatever. We'll get into our humor later. AC is a tremendous human being, but he's also a phenomenal musician and singer. And could you give us that first line? To everything, turn, turn, turn. There is a season, turn, turn. Sing
You got
for
it.
us. Sing it.
Let's sing, everybody.
Hey, yes, we'll all join in
There
together.
is
We've
a
got Latter-day Saints
season,
here.
turn, turn, turn. Yeah.
There
Who
is a
sings that? Who knows
season.
that song?
That's the Birds. Tweet,
Yeah.
tweet, tweet. Yeah, I saw them. I saw them singing. It's beautiful.
So
So we're
you
going to
may,
explore time through this because it mentions two of our words for time. So we have Zman, this word that Christo mentioned. We say this regularly throughout the year on our holidays. We speak of our holidays as a Zman. We say Zman Simchasenu on the time of it's of Pentecost in the Hebrew Christian tradition. For us, it's Shavuot, the time of the giving of the Torah. Zman Matan Torah Teinu, it's the time of the giving of our Torah. Sorry, Sukkot is the Zman Simchasenu, it's the time of our joy. The Zman Cherusenu is the time of our freedom on Passover. So this word Zman is a present word in our tradition. The word itself, however, again, this is a little background on time before we get into the month itself. I want you to keep these ideas with you. The word Zman does mean a time, or sometimes they say a season, a little fancier word. But there is a difference between a Zman and an 8, which we'll get to in a moment. But one of the meanings of Zman absolutely is time. But question is, what are some of its other meanings? Because this gives us an insight into Jewish time, the vision of time. Another meaning of Zman is like a zimun, which means an invitation. And again, the rabbis are very good at giving us insight or insight into a word, a meaning, a translation, but often they leave it up to us to discover a more intimate dimension or aspect of the word as far as making connections between the meaning and life, the meaning of the word and life. So one of its other meanings of time, Zman, is zimun, which is an invitation. It also has the idea of consideration or thinking, planning, devising. So as a verb. And what this tells me about time is that our time is inviting us into something deeper, into a place that we often don't explore. But when we look at time, not just as this is what we have, but rather an invitation to, we fill in the two. We can waste our time, or we can develop ourselves and make this world better because of the time. It's an invitation to. And often in Judaism, when we use this word zimun, it's a time to bless. It's a blessing that we make after eating. When we have a group of people together, we have a zimun. This is in Rabbinic Hebrew. In modern Hebrew, it would be hazmana. It's like an invitation. Or hazmana, sorry, for those who speak Israeli Hebrew. I'm speaking Yiddish Hebrew and modern Hebrew at the same time. But hazmana, but we say zimun. Before we say our blessing over the meal, after we've eaten bread, it's a zimun. We have our group, and it's an invitation to, in this context, bless. And I think that is a vision that if I can link that up with time in general, time that I have here and now, the ever-present now, it's a time, a zman, right, a zimun, an invitation to bring blessing, to be a blessing. Wouldn't that change at least our immediate world? It's not going to help in war-torn regions, but if each person saw time as an opportunity to bless, it would be a different world. And it begins with us. It begins with us. So it means an invitation, a zimun from zman, but it also has the idea of considering, planning, plotting. There can be a negative aspect to it too, this idea of plotting against, but it can be this idea of thinking, considering, because the question again is, what is the relationship between these distinct meanings? In Jewish thought, words with different meanings are always integrated. They're not distinct, like the word bark for a tree and bark, what a dog does. Those are separate and distinct. But in Jewish thought, words that have distinct meanings, according to the rabbis, we integrate them and we interrelate them because there's a teaching there. There's a message for us. So we see what it means, a time as an invitation. It's inviting us to, hopefully, something better. But the idea of thinking or considering, time is not something that just passes us by, although it often does. Time is given to us for reflection, for consideration, for pondering. If we use our time daily to ponder and reflect and to meditate and to consider, where am I? And how can I? You fill in the blank. How can I grow? How can I serve? How can I heal? How can I help others? Again, the world, our immediate world and our own lives will be better. And that's ultimately what Judaism always does. Judaism isn't simply functional. Here is a word and here is its meaning. There's always a foundational aspect or element, but it's always for the purpose of something greater. So time, yes, Zman means time, but it's an invitation to. It's an opportunity to. And the context here that I've offered us today is one of its meanings is an invitation, and I gave the beautiful idea that the rabbis really do. This is an invitation to bless. Take that with you in life. This is an invitation, an opportunity, a time that I can bring blessing. Not because the other person was necessarily a blessing to me, loving to me, kind to me, agrees with me, but simply because time is an invitation to bless. Zman and Zimun. That's something we should consider, ponder the other meaning of the root Zman as a verb, to consider. So let's start now, because we're going to do half the time, 3/4 of the time, 2/3 of the time on the month, and then I'll leave us with a Torah thought about our weekly reading, basically our lectionary cycle. For those of the LDS faith, our Come Follow Me weekly readings. We'll do that at the end. I'll leave us with a meditation on our holy texts, our Torah. But as far as the months, now we'll get into the time itself. We are in the month, depending on how you calculate, we're either in the 5th month or the 11th month of the calendar. The Gregorian calendar only has February as the second month. It could never be the 6th month or the 8th month. In the Jewish calendar, we have two ways of counting. In we have the rabbinic way and the biblical way. They're two different ways to encountering the holy. So if you count one way, which is what we're going to do today, we're counting Shvat as the 11th month. That's biblically speaking. It's the month of Shvat, S-H-V-A-T, or S-H-E-V-A-T, but it's really a half vowel. It's not a Shevat, it's Shvat. It's the 11th month. Next month will be the 12th month, Adar. That pattern or this way of counting the months begins with Nisan, which is our month of Passover. Do you begin counting the first of months biblically, like it says from Nisan? Then the 11th month is Shvat. If you count from the rabbinic way of counting the months, then it's the 5th month, because the first month for the rabbis is Tishrei, which is very strange, because we will talk about this in about 8 months. But the 7th month in the rabbinic calendar is the first month in their minds. The 7th month in the biblical calendar is the first month in the rabbinic mind. How can the 7th be the first? Rabbis can't count. That's a common theme you will hear from me. Rabbis do not know how to, there's an old joke, there's 3 kinds of Jews, right? I've said it before, those who can count and those who can't. And I will give you other examples of quote unquote rabbinic counting that simply doesn't align with what they say it does. But there's a deeper teaching involved. It's not that they can't count, it's that they count in a sort of metaphysical way. It's the metaphysics of counting. So we're going to discuss here today the 11th month, the month of Shvat, which is never mentioned in the Hebrew Bible as Shvat. It's mentioned in the Hebrew Bible as the 11th month. Most months in the biblical text are labeled or are described as the first month, the second month, the third month. 4 of them have names, but the 11th month has nothing. It's mentioned in Zechariah, it's mentioned in Zechariah 1, it's mentioned in Deuteronomy chapter 1, the 11th month. Okay. So what is something, let's get into the calendar.
Rabbi,
Months. Oh, sorry. Yes, I didn't. Yes, please.
I have a question. I'm here because I'm very ignorant, so I appreciate your patience. When you talk about month, then are they 12 equal number of days, or are there 10 months, or how does this work?
We have 12 months, and your question actually is prophetic. I'm going to call you prophetess from now on, because I was actually just going to discuss the number of days. So from now on, it's not Patricia Johnson, P. Johnson, it's prophetess Johnson. So let's everybody all together bow to the prophetess. Yes. We have a holy prophetess here.
I'm sorry to interrupt that. I'll let you.
No, please, always feel time. This is a time for me to clarify, because I often assume things that I may not have expressed clearly. So no raising hands. I half the time don't even see hands. I don't see chats. I have to look better. That's what I have you folks for. But to everyone, I saw that chat. Excellent. Thank you, Krista. So our Hebrew months, we have 12. We have more than 12. Some have more than one name, but it's still 12 months. Most of them in the biblical text are referred to by number, first, second, third. The rabbis give them names of months, but they're not Hebrew. Generally, they're Aramaic, because they took these months on in the exile, the Babylonian exile, the first exile. So the first month is Shvat, according to the rabbis, the name. It's the 11th month, again, using the biblical model of counting. And months in the Jewish calendar have 29 or 30 days. We don't have 31 and we don't have 28. Okay? So we have 29 or 30 days, and whether it has 29 or 30 days will be important in a moment for a celebration that we have every month called the new month. It's a celebration of the new month, Rosh Chodesh. And we'll get to that in a moment. But I want you to hear, again, I'm not going to do all of this up front usually. I'll give us much more content or focus on the month itself and what is timely for us and hopefully timeless. But today I'm giving us a little more background and just to give us a sense of Jewish time. Days are made up of what? What are some things that days are made up of? Anybody?
Hours, minutes, seconds.
Hours, minutes. One more?
One rotation.
One rotation. What's two big divisions that we have in a day?
Day and night.
Day and night, right? Light and darkness. We have 29 or 30 days. I want you to see and take this into your own life. I'm speaking through obviously the prism of Jewish wisdom, but Jewish wisdom is a particular way of understanding life, but it's also universal. It draws on the universal. It might just express it in a unique way. See if you have this in your own faith. I'm sure you do, because Jewish wisdom echoes the wisdoms of the world. The wisdoms of the world are very, very, we overlap a lot. So when you think of day, what does anybody think of? Just on the simple level. We have 29 days, 30 days, 31 days, 28 days in a month. Is there anything significant about the word day? When's the last time you pondered the word day? If anybody would have said anything, I would have let them teach the class, because who ponders day? I'm telling you, in Jewish thought, the word day or night, it's time-bound, it's timely in its reference, but there is also something instructive for life. In Jewish thought, if I could say on one foot, this is the broad way of Judaism. Every single detail is not simply functional, but it's there to instruct us in life, in soul, and in how to live a better, more loving way. To heal, to recover. How so? What's so significant about the word day? Well, how does Judaism count its days? How do we determine when a day begins, when a day ends? Anybody know? I'm sure some of you do.
Sundown.
Huh?
Sundown?
Sundown begins the day, correct? At night, meaning, it's getting dark. It's pretty. The sun is below the horizon. And then it's, Tzeis HaKochavim is night. The stars come out and it's night. So we've got, our days begin at night. And I remember about 30 years ago, a lady said, that's so strange that not a criticism, she was just genuinely curious. It's strange that you begin day, which normally means where we are right now, at least in our hemisphere. Day is when light is present. Why does day begin at night? And I said, well, that's a great question, actually. I said, it's not as strange as you think, because the American calendar, probably many others also, they begin their day when? At 12 o'clock midnight and 1 second after 12 a.m. Well, that's no more day than it is. It's even darker than for the Jewish day. So what are the rabbis offering us with this just simple time reference? It's a time-bound reference. Day begins at night. It makes no sense on one level, but when you think, when you ponder, when you use time, zman, as a zimun, as an invitation to zaman, to lizmon, to consider, to ponder, you'll come up with something. For me, the idea of time beginning, a day beginning at night, at darkness. What do we know happens after sundown? About
Camille,
8-10
Camille,
hours.
go
What
ahead.
happens next?
Sorry, Camille's raising her hand. Go ahead.
I just wanted to mention that for me, it's representative of the darkness of the womb, and each day is a sort of microcosm of a life, and the choices that we make in that day are representative of the life that we are living. It's also about intention and entering in.
Amen. This is how Zman, time, is an invitation, zimun, to ponder, to reflect, to consider. Thank you, Camille. That's how we start taking simple words, simple references, details, and making them into a broad way of deepening life. So what day represents, yes, Camille, thank you. Day at night. Also, what comes after sundown? Every single day, a 24-hour period, what happens after nightfall? Maybe 10 hours later, 8 hours later, depending on where you live, what comes next? We got sundown and we've got sun what? Sunrise.
Rise.
What happens when the sun rises? We have what? The day, the light. Looking at time and day and night are as philosophical models for living more authentically, more deeply, more engaged. What this tells me is that day beginning at night symbolizes that in our darkness, which is what it is right now, my day is dark. I get out of the synagogue at night. We've said the night prayers, which is the beginning of the next day, and it is dark. What does that symbolize for me? It reminds me that light is not present, certainly, but that light or dawn is always coming. Yes, but in my own life, it's that in my darkness, in my struggle, in my pain, in my loss, in my hopelessness, darkness is hopelessness. It gives me a philosophical, almost construct that encourages me, that gives me inspiration to continue. That yes, that's a time-bound reference. It's dark now and it's going to get light. But what that says metaphorically and poetically and soulfully is that my darkness, my trials, my hopelessness, right now, my evening, beginning of the new day, dawn is coming. Dawn is coming. The Morning Breaks is a beautiful Latter-day Saint hymn. In fact, it's the first hymn in their hymnal. At least I don't think the new hymnal has come out. Has it yet? Has the new? No. So it's the first hymn in the hymnal. The Morning Breaks. Right? Often we can't see beyond the darkness of night, the hopelessness. And if you've lived long enough, you have known somebody who has been in that place and was unable to see the hope of light that would come, and they ended their life. So for me, time here, just day and night, now it's an invitation for life, that my day begins at night because sometimes that's where I seem to be, in a place of darkness, but that's only the beginning. It's not the end. It will end with sunrise, with light, with hope, with inspiration. I'm not alone, and we can make it. And again, feel free at any time to deepen or focus it on a different, to take my idea in a different way. And yes, absolutely. Yes, absolutely. God is also present, even when we're not aware of God's presence, even if that's our darkness, even if that's our night. So
Always, always, and forever.
yes, yes, yeah.
So, Rabbi Joe, I wanted to just interrupt you for a second for something practical. I don't know when Patricia, the prophetess, asked that question about the calendar, and
Mhm.
everybody's welcome, obviously, to do their own research and learning on how the calendar works. But the months in the Jewish calendar, the months are lunar, based on the lunar cycle. So the new moon is always the beginning of a month. It's kind of nice because if you see a full moon, you know you're in the middle of a Jewish month. And a lot of the holy days, the Zamans are connected with the full moon. A lot of the holy day celebrations in Judaism are on the full moon or at the beginning. Some are different days, but you can always kind of sense where you are in the Jewish month based on the cycle of the moon.
Right. No, thank you. And that was my next. Again, we've got the prophet AC that we all say thank you to and bow. Don't just bow for Patricia. We got to bow for AC too. Prophet and prophetess, we follow you. Yeah, I was going to get into months when I focused on month because we got day, we've got hour, we've got time, but just for today, I'm going to sum up this part and then give an insight into the month and then a little short teaching on the Torah portion itself. The idea of month, and yes, it is lunar. It's actually a lunar solar. It's lunar solar. Islam, the Muslim faith follows a purely lunar calendar. That's why Ramadan is all throughout the year. We balance our lunar calendar out with Passover has to be always in the springtime, in Aviv. And our month, though, is a little over 11 days shorter, so every year it's 11 days earlier. So we add a second month. We'll find this out next month. We add a second month, 7 out of 19 years, to keep it in its place so that so that Passover can always be celebrated in the spring. So it's lunar solar. The word month in Hebrew, it means month. But again, if we take Zman, time, as a zimun, as an invitation to consider, to Zaman, Lizmon, to ponder, reflect, or consider what, just like day gave us an insight into life, the day begins at night. There was evening and there was morning one day, right? It's how the biblical model counts in Genesis 1. Evening, morning, one day. What's the word month mean? It means month. What can you do with that, Joe? How can that help me in my walk through life? Well, the Hebrew word month, chodesh, little throat clearing activity, chodesh, also is as a verb, chadash, or lehis chadesh, in another form of the verb. It means to make new, or to renew oneself. So what does this tell us? Zman, time in general. Month is an aspect of time. So what's the invitation that month is leading me to ponder, to consider? Well, month means month. Brilliant. But month, one of its other meanings is also to renew. And in some forms, to renew oneself. So the question then for us is, how am I using my time? Am I using it for renewal? Often no. I'm wasting time, which is wonderful at times. We need a time to waste time, to sit and do nothing. We also have to have times when we are seeking ways of renewing, so we can redeem time and redeem this world. So that's for this week. Each week we will do something shorter, much shorter, but each week we will do something on the different words for time, analyzing sometimes the same word through a different lens, and then other times analyzing different words and then comparing them. So we went over Zman this time. Next time we did a little bit of 8, like we did in Ecclesiastes 3:1, and we're going to go through this whole section over the year. These 8 verses, we will take a year. And it's a good use of time. But we did Zman and 8. Time, season, time. Are they appointed times? Are they set times? Are they durations of times versus a period in time? And how is that different from Sha'ah, which is a time, or another appointed time, Moed, or all the other established times? That's what we have to look forward to. Now the month, a few things on the month. We have here, the month that we are in is Shvat. It's again the 11th month if we start biblically speaking from Nisan. We'll be there in 2 months. That's when Passover begins, and in Exodus 12 it says that this month will be for you, the first of months. Now, we'll discuss that again when we get to the first month. We're in the 11th month right now, and it's called Shvat by the rabbis. Well, first of all, what does the name Shvat mean? Well, Shvat is an Aramaic way of saying Shevet. Fine. What does Shevet mean? Shevet means a few of its meanings are it's a tribe, right? Shiftei Yisrael, the tribes of Israel. Okay, we got some Ephraimites here in our tribe here. Yeah, hallelujah. It also means a rod or a staff, even a scepter, which is a staff. It's not a rod. I mean, it could be used as one, but a scepter, like it uses it in Genesis 49. It's a famous messianic verse for both Judaism and Christianity about the scepter will not depart mi Yehuda from Judah. It's a scepter there, and it's this word. It's shevet. You know, shevet is a tribe, and then variant forms of this word. Well, scepter, a tribe, sorry, a scepter is a staff, but it's a staff of authority. Okay? It's a different type of staff. Staffs can be used for smiting. We have that usages. But it's also for authority. It can be. And in the more mystical tradition, they also relate this word to the idea. It's similar in its spelling, very similar, to the idea of being soft. You say, okay, what's the point for me? I don't have a scepter, this rod of authority. I'm not in a place of authority. Well, we're all in some way in a place or position of authority. And the idea of softness being associated with this word, scepter, shevet, is that when we are in a position, a place of authority, a position of power, are we tender with the other? Are we soft? Or are we too strong and harsh and smiting? Are we smiting with our authority, or are we soft and gracious?
Humble.
Humble.
Receptive. Yes.
Yes, absolutely. It doesn't mean that literally, but that's the idea. If you're coming with a rod to smite because of authority, you certainly have no humility. You have no grace. There has to be a softening. And a person who is touched by grace and by humility, and we will get to this in a moment. Thank you again, Camille. Your authority, your leadership will be different, and you will be much more loved because of it. You'll be much more loved. So those are just some of its basic meanings. Yes.
Rabbi, I have a question for you. So when you talked about the 11th month and then the connection with the word that means rod or scepter, I thought about Joseph, who becomes an authority, and isn't he the 11th?
Right. He's the 11th son. Yeah. Yeah, before Benny.
Yeah.
That was Elton John's inspiration for Benny and the Jets. Just trying to keep the musical theme going here. You want to sing Benny and the Jets for us, AC?
Benny. All right.
So yes, and Joseph had humility. He was also humble. Well, he didn't in the beginning.
Right.
He seemed a little arrogant there. But yes, and what does 11
He was humbled.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, he was. He was humbled by life. And some people, some of us, all of us, we are often humbled by life, but we don't remain humble. There you go. Well, what does 11 symbolize? I mean, in Jewish thought, December is that's the 12th month. November is the 11th month. Is there anything significant about 11th month, the 11th month in the Gregorian calendar? No. For the rabbis, and then if it was the 5th month when we do that, I'll just, if I go over that, we'll discuss the significance of the 5th. Well, what does 11 signify in Judaism? And again, I'm not going to be complete on this. This is just an insight into, we don't just look at the name of the month, which is meaningless. No, it has a meaning for life. The number that this month falls in the calendar is also significant. It's the 11th month. Numbers are significant in Judaism. What does one signify? What's something significant about one in Judaism? There's one what? I read your lips, one God. Okay. And fine, for other traditions that have multiple gods, they often revere one. One is central to their life. But there's something unifying about all of life in all faith traditions, whether we are more on the monotheistic end or the polytheistic end. But
It's
one is
also
significant.
presence,
Yes, absolutely. It's a presence
and
of oneness.
and
Absolutely.
entering in. Yes.
Yes, yes, yes. So one, I'm not going to go through all the numbers up to 11, but in three, everybody knows here, I don't even have to talk. In both our traditions, three is significant, and four and five. What about seven? Can you think of anything significant about seven? That represents the week. It's the completeness, fullness of the week. Well, eight symbolizes transcendence because it's beyond the seven. It's beyond. So there's a dimension of the beyond, not the infinite beyond, but an aspect of the infinite beyond, as you'll see in a moment. 10. 10 symbolizes wholeness and completeness in many faith communities, including Judaism. So what's 11? Well, 10 is the ultimate fullness and completion.
And then 11 can be a gateway into the next level, the next dimension.
Absolutely. That's the ultimate, absolute fullness and completion, wholeness beyond, period. The absolute beyond that we have a hint of, we can have hints of, but never full encounter with because we are finite. So, and in Kabbalah, in the Jewish mystical tradition, 10 represents emotions and intellect. In Kabbalah, 11 represents, again, metaphorically, not literally, the divine crown. Where does a crown sit? On a human being, it sits on the head. So what we're trying to say by this number 11, what it symbolizes is your thoughts, your emotions, your reflections. They will lead you to a very profound place. But ultimately, when you take time to engage with holy living, whether, again, I don't care where you are on the spectrum, holy human living or holy sacred practice living, if you're serving and loving and healing, that's holy. It will lead you. That's your intellect and your emotions, your heart and mind. If you unite heart and mind, your emotions and your intellect, which represents 10, the fullness of our being, when those unite, it blossoms into this 11th realm, this divine crown, where we are now simply in a truly transcendent place, beyond either mind or heart. So that's what 11 leads us into. So names are significant of the months. Time is significant. Each moment of time, whether it's a moment like a sha'ah, or an hour, a moment, or whether it's a day or a night, or whether it's a month, the idea of renewal. It also has a number that brings us insight into life. This is sacred Jewish time. What else do the rabbis associate? Again, it's not biblical, but this is the way the rabbis work with time to guide us in life. Every single month also has a tribe associated with it, one of the biblical tribes. It's fascinating. In this month's tribe is Asher. And I don't know if anybody in the Latter-day Saint world knows anybody from the tribe of Asher. Those aren't the common tribe. That's not a common tribe. But why associate a tribe with a month? Most of Jewish people, the Jewish world today that we have, is from the tribe of Judah. We are Israelites. Some are from the Levites. Okay, fine. It's a priestly tribe. But most of us are from the tribe of Israel. So What does each month having its own tribe or tribal association do for us? Well, first of all, it unites us all in time. It says we are all together, a community dwelling together in time, and we each have our place, our space, our time that we must be together in. Our time is spent together. We are a group, a community, and I would expand this to humanity. We are also part of the tribe of humanity. And you have your month, you have your place, but it's always in dialogue with the other, and we can each offer something of insight to help guide us through time, because each tribe, the name, gives us an insight into life. What does the word Asher mean? It means a lot of things in Hebrew.
Rabbi,
One of its, yes.
How did they associate? Sorry to interrupt.
No.
How do they associate which tribe to which month? Is there a symbolic connection there?
I don't know why they chose the 11th month or the 5th month, depending on how you count, to be Asher. I can make my assumptions, and there are some commentaries, some you like, some you don't, or you think they don't maybe work for you, but I look at it as a guide for life. If the tribe, we're all part of a community, and the name of my community, remember, name in Judaism always means your path, your walk, your calling. The name of a tribe is guiding you, broadly speaking, into, I would say, one of your many callings. One of your many callings. So the tribe, I have a sense, again, this is where I'm at right now. Maybe by the end of the year, I'll have a different insight. But what the tribal structure of time tells me is that each month is guiding me into one of 12 ways. Again, 12 is another significant number. One of 12 ways of living better, of loving better, and of serving better. That's a trinity for me. Live, love, serve better. So each tribe gives me an insight, a way of life that I must develop to become part of a community, a broader community. This is my place in the communal system. That help? And here, I'll give you an example of how this helps us with Asher. One of the meanings of Asher is to praise, to honor. So the question for me for this month, you develop a task. Judaism is very big on developing tasks or ideals through regular practice. And then you come around the following year and you do the same practice again, but you're not the same. So in this case, next year, if we continue this for 2 years, we will discuss praise again, but we will see, how am I living a more praiseworthy life? Not just to be praised, but bringing praise and light and honor to others. But it also means this word, it's also a conjunction. Like it's a relative pronoun, like it can be that or who or which. Well, what do those do? What does that grammatical term do in a sentence? It joins a verb and a noun. It's functioning, it's joining things. Asher. Asher yatzar es ha'adam b'chochma, we say. Who has, formed the human being with wisdom. Okay, blessed are you, Lord our God. Blessed is the one who, relative pronoun, Asher, he formed us with wisdom. So God formed us. God who formed. You're linking a verb with a noun. The question for me is it's joining. How am I joining, connecting with others in life? Is my way of living bringing unity, harmony, or is it bringing not harmony but harm? disunity? Am I divisive? We'll get to this in a moment. It also has the idea as a verb. It's a completely the same word, but just it has three different forms. One is another verb, not just a praise, but it also has this idea of stepping or moving forward. This month, for me, as we approach the end of the year, you asked about the order, Patricia. The end of the year. I'm approaching the end. I don't want to wait till the end. Before the end, I want to make sure, what is my progression? How am I progressing? That's this verb. Ashar is a verb. How am I progressing? How am I stepping? Am I stepping forth with praise, with honor, with unity, with harmony? I don't want to wait till the end and then realize it's too late. So you don't wait till the 12th month. It's something we do every day, but this is a month, in my mind, trying to use this to construct a sort of sacred calendrical practice. This is a month for me to take these traits into my life. The meaning of the month, the number of the month, the meaning of day and night, the meaning of this 11, like we said before, here, the meaning technically of the month, to praise as a relative pronoun or as a verb to progress forward. That's wonderful. This is a time to focus on that, but we hope we always live with it the rest of the year. One last thing, maybe, it also has an emotion associated with it, but every month has an emotion, okay? And this month it has to do again with that idea of softening, tempering, often tempering anger. That's something we all need help with. Even if we're not overtly angry, anger is a part of our human spectrum of emotions. And anger rarely is there is righteous indignation. Yes, I agree. But anger should not be a primary emotion. If you're walking around angry, it's a time to soften, which is what this month represents. And that doesn't mean being soft towards those who are your comadres and your compadres, your compatriots. It means softening to those often who may be harsh, who you may have profound differences with. Can we soften, temper our anger? Can we be soft? Can we walk a different path? Can we bring praise? Can we bring harmony when there is disharmony or difference? These are the sort of models of how I work with these structures that the rabbis have imposed, or beautifully woven into is a better word, into the calendar. It also is a letter. Every Hebrew month has a letter. Why a letter? Does January have the letter A because it's the first month? No, it doesn't. Every month has a letter. And this month, the letter associated with Shvat, the 11th month, is Tzadi. And for those who know any Hebrew, again, we're not going to focus much because I want to just leave us with a 2 or 3 minute thought on the Torah portion. The word Tzadi has to do with righteousness. With righteousness. A tzaddik, it's the same word. That's how we often say it. Some people even pronounce the letter tzadi like tzaddik. It's like, no, it's a tzadi. But the rabbis related to the word tzaddik because it has to do with righteousness and justice and charity. All the same word. So I will just ask, I think it's obvious now the way I walk through rabbinic models of thinking, because they don't often walk us through. Sometimes they do. Sometimes they give us the model and want us to walk through it and form it and shape it. The question is, am I living a life before the end? Don't wait till the 12th month. Am I living a life that is seeking righteousness? And I'm going to ask our Christian brothers and sisters here. I didn't get to see that, Camille. I will read it. Thank you. I didn't get to see it, but I always want to hear your thoughts. Interrupt me, sister. Can anybody think of something? I'll give you a hint. This idea of righteousness. Am I living a life of righteousness?
The first thing I thought of was Melchizedek.
Okay,
who's
very
known
nice.
as the King of Righteousness.
Yes, yes, very nice. I didn't think anybody was going to think of that, but
Well, I
let's
always
make
have
you.
unusual thoughts.
No, no, listen, you know what? I'm anointing everybody as prophets and prophetesses today. There we go. So, what's another one? I'll give you a little hint. For me, it's the most, period, one of the most beautiful and one of the most sacred insights into holy living. And it uses the word righteousness. And it's in the New Testament by a Jewish guy. You may have heard of him, Jesus. I'll give you a hint. It's in chapter 5. I'll give you another hint. It's a blessed. Okay? 3 strikes and you're all out, folks. Blessed are those who thirst, maybe hunger.
For righteousness.
Who said that? Was that you, Pinson?
Yes.
Okay. All right. You almost got 3 strikes. Thank you for saving us. Do you thirst? Do you hunger for righteousness? And I will here give you the insight into the Hebrew. Go ahead. Sorry, Randall.
I was going to say that's a great question, and I think that relates to time, right? Time,
It sure does.
from our perspective, time is a probationary moment, right? Our spirits are here in these mortal tabernacles, and God has given us a chance to be here and to learn, to be humble enough to learn, to use this time wisely. And are we digging into this time that we have in these mortal tabernacles to thirst for the righteous tutelage of our Father in heaven?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's about
Thirst and
it's about
hunger.
motivation. What
Yes.
motivates us?
Right. That's the
What-
hunger.
What
Hunger and
exactly?
thirst.
Hunger and thirst. Those are powerful motivators. The imagery is incredibly powerful. Is this what causes us to wake up into awareness in the morning? What are we waking up to?
And that's why it's a regular meditation this month. This is our constant, this is like a mantra meditation. Am I, am I, am I? How can I? I'm not hungry and I'm not thirsty for righteousness. And as I said in the beginning, and Robert mentioned this, he highlighted the idea of justice. The word for righteousness also is tzedakah. It's also, this is all related again to the letter tzadi, which symbolizes righteousness. Tzadi, tzadik, tzidkis, tzadikut, tzedekis, tzedakah. These all are forms of righteousness or righteous people. Am I thirsting and hungering? The often answer is no, but am I also, tzedek, in fact, in Exodus, tzedek, tzedek, tirdov, righteousness, righteousness you shall pursue. Are you pursuing? But before you can pursue, you have to hunger and thirst. But it also means not just justice and right. It's not just righteousness, it's justice. And it is also charity. Are you charitable in your justice or your search for justice? Or our justice can be the hand of, that can be a heavy hand. Are we charitable? Don't forget the charitable aspect of justice and of righteousness, because sometimes we're a little arrogant in our righteousness. Got to sneak out. Thank you, Brother Joe. Thank you, Randall. We will see you soon. I'm almost done. I'm just going to close. I will tell. Oh, Randall, I wanted to say, shucks, you mentioned humility and righteousness. The letter tzadi is actually made up of 2 letters. Every letter except the yud is always made up of at least 2 letters. The word for righteousness, tzadi, what it symbolizes righteousness, is made up of a yud and a nun. And we're going to go through the letters again throughout the year. One of the ideas that the rabbis speak of as far as the nun is wisdom. Wisdom. Wisdom is a prerequisite for righteousness. Not just your heart feeling, but wisdom. But so is humility. It's and the rabbis speak of the nun kefufa. It's the nun, the letter N, the nun, one of the letters that makes up this tzadi. They speak of the nun kfufa and the nun, and then the nun that is bent, and then the nun that is straight. That's what makes up the tzadi. So it's telling you in your righteousness, in your search for righteousness, whether you're a political activist or you have political ambitions to bring more goodness and righteousness to this world and justice, is there humility? At nun kfufa. Or is there charity in your search for justice? Or is it simply condemnation? These are such grand themes in life that we honestly don't consider. That's, again, that word for time, zman. We don't ponder. We don't consider. This is the month for considering it. This is too many things probably to consider. But you can take one a day and try and refine so that next year when we come back to this, that idea of nun kfufa, that nun, that the nun of bina, the nun of like wisdom or insight. Maybe we'll have a little more insight, a little more charity, a little more humility, and we'll be a little more righteous and a little softer. So I leave you with that thought. Unless anybody has anything they want to leave us with, I'll give you a promise. It's like a 3-minute thought on the weekly reading. Normally we'll do a little more, but I had a lot of background thoughts that I wanted to at least introduce us, which we will revisit. And if I'm ever going too fast or you want to focus on something, please, I don't care how far we get. I really don't. I'd rather get deep and real and authentic, or authentically into it. Does anybody have any thoughts before I jump into it is amazing that I will speak for 3 minutes. I'm going to time it. A 3-minute thought on the Torah portion.
Just super quickly, I wanted to say thanks everybody for coming. This Zoom is put on by Temple Aaron here in Trinidad, Colorado. And we're going to keep this talk about the months going. And I put in the chat a link to one source, the one website that talks about the different months and things associated with them. And, you know, sometimes you'll find stuff that's accurate. Things might not be accurate, but it's maybe a good place to start and bring some questions with you. And also Shvat has Tu B'Shvat.
Yes.
The 15th day of Shvat is the new year for trees.
That was my, believe it or not, yes.
Oh.
Thank you. Again, you are a prophet. I was going to weave everything in. Continue. It's one of our 4 new years. Preach, AC.
Yeah, so there's a lot of beautiful customs around that. Feel free to look into that and get to know it and celebrate it. It's sort of it's become kind of the ecological holiday as well. The love of creation, the beauty of nature, and the things that grow in the land of Israel from the trees. And it's the 15th, so it starts this year. It's February 1st, I believe, in the evening starts the 15th day of Shvat. So that's when it's celebrated. But yeah, check it out, Tu B'Shvat. It's a beautiful holiday.
And to weave in, thank you, AC. Thank you, AC. This, I'm going to just link this last 30 seconds on the month itself and this holiday of Tu B'Shvat. 2 is just the number 9 and the number 6. Okay, the letter T, Tet, and the letter Vav, 2 letters, but together those are numerically 15. So it's the 15th of this month of Shvat. But here's the thing. It's interesting that it's the new year of trees. We have a lot of new years in Judaism. We will discuss all of them in the coming year. But it's significant that we celebrate trees, not only ecologically, absolutely ecologically, but not only. Because the rabbis speak of a man is like a tree, a human being is like a tree. Well, why? I didn't have any grapes, or not grapes, but an apple blossom from my head. What's happening, or sprout? The idea of a tree, very briefly. A tree has several components, but one of them is a root. One of them is a trunk, branches, and often fruits with seeds. That imagery is not accidental, that they made a sacred time centering around trees, and that trees are again connected with human beings. What is the relationship for us? Well, trees have roots. What are we rooting into in life? How deep are our roots in life? Are we living in a way that is deepening our roots so that we can draw more nourishment, more insight, more wisdom, more compassion, so that we can live with those values? Okay? I'm not going to go through the rest, but you can see the trunk. That's great. I drew it into my life. I'm going to stop with the trunk. You know what? I'm just going to do it in 15 seconds. The trunk, all that nourishment goes into the trunk. That means it comes up from underground. The way I view that is, hello, kitty cat, meow, meow. The idea is I have drawn those wise teachings out of my sacred wisdom. But is it only in my heart, or am I drawing it up into my being as I walk through life? Is it in me so that I can express it in life? That's the trunk. It's coming up into my person, not just into my mind, touching my soul, but it's being drawn up into me. And then the branches, how is it extending into the world? How am I touching the world? Am I touching it with blossoming fruit of love and light? And then the seeds. Am I planting that? Am I touching people in a way that it plants goodness and light and beauty for the future? Whew. That's a beautiful image. My one thought for this week's Torah portion. That's a reflection for all of us. Thank you. Thank you for this time together. Really, I appreciate it because it's helping me become better. In our reading this week, the Parsha, the Torah reading that we have, the holy wisdom that we read from the books of Moses, we're in Exodus, and I'm going to do something very short from the book of Exodus, chapter 11, starting at verse 21. Where am I? Here. 10, 11. No, wait, I got the wrong book. Hold on here. Yeah. Sorry, 10. Let me see here. 10. Let me see. We're on 11. Nope. I got to get to the right chapter. Yeah, that's the problem. Okay. So 10, 21. We're dealing with Pharaoh. We've had 8 plagues already. We get the last 3 plagues. A few other things happen in this week's portion that we read. But in verse 21, God tells Moses to stretch out his hand again and to bring darkness. And it's going to be a real darkness, a cheshech hafela, a real darkness, a thick darkness, a heavy darkness throughout the land of Egypt. And this idea of darkness, that's verse 21, 22. Moses stretched his hand toward the heavens, and there was a darkness, thick darkness, a heavy darkness throughout the land of Egypt for a period of 3 days. The darkness, if you look at verse 21, the last couple of words, I don't know how they translated in yours, but chapter 10, verse 21, but it speaks of the darkness in a very unique way. We think of darkness as just it's an absence of light. But the darkness here in the biblical text, and we'll see that in this verse 22 also, but it's vayamesh cheshech. It's a tangible darkness. It's not just a vision lacking that we see. It's a lack of light. It is a darkness that is tangible, that you can touch. Darkness that can be touched. Thank you. Thank you, Christo. Okay. You can feel it. Yamesh. You can feel it. And if we look in verse 22, it says Moses, Vayet Moshe es yadai, alashamayim, and Moses stretched out forth his hand toward the heavens. What happened? Vayehi chayshesh chafela, and there was this darkness. How does the JPS do the darkness of this thick darkness, or darkness of like a gloomy darkness? B'chol Eretz Mitzrayim, throughout the land of Egypt for 3 days. Shleishes Yamim. How do they do that, Christo? The thick darkness.
The current JPS says a darkness that can be touched.
No, that's the previous verse in 22. He stretched his hand, and it was a darkness, a choshech, a fela. There was a type of darkness throughout the land of Egypt.
Thick
It's like a gloomy,
darkness.
thick
Carnal.
darkness. Huh?
Thick.
Thick darkness.
Thick, fine. Thick, gloomy darkness, tangible, playing off that word by Yamesh. Now, here's the thing in verse 23. What happened as a result of this darkness? And this is what I want. Everything I was saying in our study of the month sort of manifests itself, realizes itself here. It says, Lo yira'u es ish es achiv. And they could not, none of the people, because of this darkness, no person, none of them could see a person, his brother. Nobody could see a person to his brother. No person could see his brother. That's the literal language. I could have said ish as ish, could have said a person to a person, but it says his brother. A person couldn't see his brother. They weren't able to see, no person, none of the people were able to see the others, meaning brother. V'lei kamu ish mitachtav shleishes yamim. And they couldn't rise, right? Nor could any person rise. They weren't able to rise from their place for a period of 3 days. But for the Jews, they had light in their dwelling. Lovely. What's the point here? What's the point here? We've been talking, that's again, those 3 verses, 21, 22, and 23, but 23 is my focus. This darkness is not simply, the Sforno says this, darkness, others say it too. Darkness is not simply an absence of light. It's just I'm missing the light. This is a tangible darkness, so thick that it could be touched. But the real darkness, and this is a beautiful Hasidic teaching, and it so echoes into everything we've been doing throughout our study of the calendar and where that's to lead us in life, which again, my Trinity is, am I living better? Am I serving better? And am I loving better? I could add a few more, but that's just my Trinity. If you want my, whatever the word for a 4, if it's not a Trinity, but a 4, a quadrinity, I don't know. I would give you a few more. But the idea here is, it was a darkness where no person was able to see his brother. That's an expression, and it means they couldn't see each other. But they often, they could have used ish and ish, not ish and echav, person and brother. And they couldn't rise from their place. The idea here for us, the walking meditation, remember, the month of Shvat is the tribe of Asher, and Asher has to do with walking also. That's one of its meanings, to progress forward. Am I walking with this thought for life, with this remembrance, with this awareness that it's a Hasidic teaching, that the worst form of darkness is when a person, an ish, cannot see his brother, meaning cannot see the other as his brother. That's what's breaking our country apart. Not because we disagree. I could disagree with all of you on every single issue, but I promise you, I look at you as my brother and my sister. This world is dark because we can't see each other as brother and sister. That's the language. Loi, and listen to the melody. Loi ra'u. And they didn't see. You can hear, ooh, you can hear in the melody something dramatic is happening. Every word has a melody. Ish esecha achiv. They couldn't see a person. They couldn't see each other as brothers.
They were also trapped in place. They could not leave.
And they couldn't get out of that way.
Exactly. That is just as significant, if not more so, than they can't see.
That's why this verse is together. That's the second half.
Yes.
But we first have to recognize, we don't recognize we're often trapped. There first has to be a realization that, darn it, let's just say you and I, Camille, we had different political beliefs. Dramatically different. You pick your hot button issue. Look what happens today with our differences. It leads to a darkness where I can't see you as my sister.
Right.
And it's killing our country.
But it's that
killing our country.
unwillingness to shift, to change, to open to anything else. That's the
right.
true darkness.
Yes. And even if they don't, our response, remember, the tribe is Asher and it means to progress. Our walk, our step is not to respond with darkness, but to at least start with shining the light, because it says in that darkness, there was still light in their dwellings for the Israelites. Be an Israelite. Be a wrestler with God. That's literally what it means. Wrestle with the divine when you are encountering someone else's darkness. Wrestle with that divine within you, bring it out, and try not to respond with the darkness that is dividing our country. And it begins with speech. Those of you who know me, speech is central. And that's the end of my speech for today. If anybody has a closing thought, I would love to hear it, and we will see you all next month whenever we do it. Anybody want to leave us with a closing prayer, meditation, reflection? Or I'll pick one of you, or I won't. Okay, here's my closing meditation. Silence speaks more than and often better than words. Thank you for your presence. Thank you for your silence. Thank you for your wisdom. Thank you for your light. Thank you for joining us. And I hope you join with us throughout the year. This is how we're going to do it. And I'd love to hear more of where you lead us along the way too. So, AC, it's
Thank
up to you
you.
now.
Thank you all for joining.
Shabbat shalom, everybody.
Thank you so
Shabbat shalom.
much.
Shabbat shalom.
Check out. We got some this Wednesday. Rabbi Joe is going to be
Oh, yeah.
speaking with Professor Thiessen about the Jewish nature of Paul, and then February 21st. I think that's right. Yeah, that's going to be our next Shabbat Zoom, and we're going to talk about the month of Adar. And Adar is a wonderful month. It's connected with joy, simcha, and it's also when we have a leap month. Patricia, every once in a while we have a leap month to keep the calendar and the holidays in the right time of year. Adar is the one that gets doubled. So Rabbi will talk more about that, and also the holidays. And yeah, move it, Kitty.
Yeah, and we'll have another scholar on too, another religious scholar. We're exploring Christianity through great scholars' minds, Jewish and Christian, it'll be a very interesting discussion for our Seeking Sacred Understanding.
Neil.
So thank you. Yes, Neil.
We also have a early Pesach Passover Seder on the evening of March 28th. So if anyone can join us live at the temple, we would love to have you.
Yeah, absolutely.
It'll be a weekend event.
So those things coming up, excuse me, like Wednesday where you address Paul, is that going to be Zoom?
Yes. Yeah, we'll send you out the link. Sherry or Neil will send it out probably, maybe tonight, tomorrow. You'll get it soon. And he is a great scholar and a lovely human being from a faith that many of you will learn a little bit about. He's a Mennonite, and we don't know often a lot of Mennonites, but he has a history of how he came into that beautiful faith tradition. And we'll see you all Wednesday, hopefully. And if you know other folks who you think might be interested, I trust you all to share the link with good people.
Yeah, Patricia, in the chat right now, there's a link to Temple Aaron of Trinidad, or everybody, it's templeaaron.org. And that is got our calendar in it and links to all the Zooms on there. So if you ever feel like, hey, I didn't get an email or what's going on, you can go to our website and find our calendar, and links will be there and what's coming up. And please, check that out.
But we'll get it out. And if anybody needs to be on the link, to be on the distro list, you got my. Are we still on record, AC, or no?
Oh, yeah, let me turn that off.
Bye, folks.
Bye, shalom, folks.
I'll give